Good morning, community. How are you? Janine Macklin here, transformational speaker, your wealth guide and catalyst. It's a little chilly out here today. How you doing on the East Coast? You know, I just love Cuomo. You guys, I'm sorry. I appreciate his leadership. I appreciate his thoroughness. I think he's just right on point, succinct, not a whole lot of emotionality. This is what needs to be done. Let's get it done. Let's move forward. So, hey East Coast, hey New York, hey Baltimore, Chicago, how you doing, Atlanta? And good morning to the West Coast. A little chilly for us over here today. I woke up this morning, I was feeling some kind of way, and I couldn't put a name on it. I decided to walk the Rose Bowl. I went back to it's open now. And I will, as much as I thought I'd wait, I am getting to the gym. There's some places where I want to get some support that I didn't get since I've been at home. And I was trying to figure out what the feeling was. And what I realized is that what we're in right now, we're going to be in it easily the rest of this year. I hope you have that really clear already in your mind. This isn't going to just like end next month or the following month. It's really a fluid way we're going to be living life. As people go out, as they reopen, we know numbers are going to go up. We know numbers are going to go up because of testing. We also know numbers are going to go up because people are going to be positive. I just saw something briefly as I was walking out of the house where the doctors were saying in the operating room you can't do social distancing. So how then do you do surgeries if people are really going to be required to stay, 6 feet apart? So they're looking at new technology to do that. So when I heard that, I thought, life really isn't going back to the way it was as long as there's this overshadowing of a virus that is not contained, that we don't have a vaccine for, as well as we've got to keep the economy going some kind of way. People need to get back to their jobs. You may have saved some for a couple of months in a little rainy day, but you certainly probably didn't save for a whole doggone storm or an avalanche, right? So, and granted, this is a wake-up call to really look at how you do handle your money and do some things differently. Sorry, I planted some new plants last year and they're beautiful. But I realized this is going to go on for a minute. This isn't just going to be like, okay, a magic wand. So I was wondering if you were feeling anxiety, if part of it was because you haven't cultivated your long game. I say your young game, but no, your long game. And I likened it to health. Because when this first started, it was a health issue. And if you guys are there on my phone, I see nothing. I don't see anything, anybody's names, hearts, or anything. So whoever's there, it's my regular people, how are you? Like Crystal's usually here, Daniel, all of you, good morning, how are you? So I likened it to health. Because for me, when it first started in December, but then when it picked up in January, and then my son came home in March, I was like, okay, it's a health crisis. So how have you dealt with health crisis in your life? I know. I thought this morning, why do you have on glasses? I just wear them all the time when I come outside. How have you dealt with health crises in your life? Now, one of the biggest health crises that America keeps talking about is diabetes. How many people have diabetes, high blood pressure, or I guess those two. Now, I had that issue. I went to the doctor a couple of years ago and they told me my numbers were changing and changing. At one point, they're like, okay, you have diabetes, or I had pre-diabetes, whatever it was. But my number was 6.3. And the doctor gave me, prescription, told me call this doctor. And I looked him up on the website and everything. And she was sending me to somebody to give me pills or a shot. And I thought, oh, no, I'm not doing that. That's not even an option. First of all, I don't like needles. I will never be a heroin junkie, at least. I'm not putting needles in me. I don't like giving blood. They have to give me the thin needles to do it. So I'm not doing that process at all. But I kept thinking it's about our long game. How much have you cultivated your muscles to bounce back? How much have you had to develop your faith, your courage, your stick-to-itiveness, your ability to activate within you a sense of peace in the midst of the storm? So, for example, if it was the health and it was like I was saying with the diabetes and they gave me the number and I was like, no, I'm not taking shots or pills. And I went and found a woman who taught me how to eat differently. My numbers went from 6.3 down to 5.7 in 3 months. That's what she said she would do. That's what her program was. And it was $297. And I would rather spend that to change my eating, do the work in the long game, change my eating, change my diet, change my exercising and everything that I was doing. And eating was difficult for me because I was put in an orphanage as a child, as a baby. Somewhere between there and being adopted, I guess I didn't eat a whole lot or something came up with me with food. So to this day, I really don't eat a lot. I'm not big on food. I don't have to eat. So I had to go to someone who taught me how to eat. I thought diabetes was from sugar, and I figured since I didn't eat sweets, I didn't have to worry about it. So when they said, no, your numbers are going, I'm like, well, why? Well, I found out diabetes is about carbs, carbohydrates that turn into sugar. Well, all my bread, and I loved bread. I grew up eating bread. All my fruit, all that stuff, those are carbohydrates. So I took the long game. Oh, there's some brightness. I took the long game. I wasn't going to take a pill. I wasn't going to take a shot. I wasn't going to be sticking myself in the stomach. I wasn't going to pay that money. But that meant it was harder work. That meant it took longer. It meant every single day, first of all, I had to start cooking food, which, so I had to cook and I didn't want to eat. So we came up with a plan, though, where I would do, what is it people do, the intermittent fasting. So when I first get up and I have no appetite, and we were trying to cultivate an appetite in me, we would wait and wait. So she had this shake that I would take in the morning, was a hot drink, really, with all these different ingredients in it. And I would take that and then I'd wait for an appetite. I wouldn't get an appetite till like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. Then I would eat. So it was a long process is what I'm saying. And what I want you to know is this is going to be a long process for you and for us too. So how well have you cultivated your long game? How well have you cultivated that muscle to hang in there for the long haul until you see the results that you want? Or are you more acclimated to just popping a pill and keep on moving, keep on pushing? Because if you're more acclimated to dropping a pill and keep on pushing, then this can make you very uncomfortable because it's going to go on and on and on and on. And there's going to be that part of you that's like, God, I wish this was hurry up. I wish we could get back to the way it was. When am I going to go back to work? And that's not going to happen. But when you have cultivated your long game, when you have cultivated that ability to stand on your faith, to trust your courage, to commit that morning and then commit the next morning and commit in the afternoon on track for your goal, that we're in right now just strengthens your ability to do that. It strengthens your faith. It's going to strengthen your courage. It's going to strengthen your stick-to-itiveness. But if you haven't cultivated your long game, then this is going to feel uncomfortable. And a part of you may get anxious about, oh my God, what's going to happen and when and how. And we don't have the answers. Like I said, when I heard them today talk about surgery and you can't social distance in surgery, I'm like, well, what does that mean? How is that going to happen? And what are we going to do differently to be able to accommodate the fact that we do need to do surgery and other things for patients and clients? So the other way I thought about it, now we moved into a heart crisis. First it was a health crisis. Then it was a heart crisis. So I thought, okay, so what's the long game for your heart? I keep moving because I'm trying to find some light out here because it looks dark to me. Although I think I do have it on the dark setting on as it relates to brightness. So what's our long game for our heart? Well, when you want to look at your long game, you want to look at those situations where your heart has just been broken, in a sense, and you had to heal. And you had to go through the dark night of the soul, or you had to go through all the tears and all the crying and all the disappointment. You had to go through it. You had to commit to your healing. You had to commit to letting go. You had to commit to being okay. And so it's the same thing now. It's just with other people that we've decided because of the color of their skin, they're different than us, even though we're all the same. So in the long game for your heart, it's like, how easily do you forgive yourself, first and foremost? How easily do you forgive yourself? How easily do you let go of judgment and release judgments? Because that's what we're being required to do now as we move forward, is release judgments against each other. Stop jumping to conclusions about each other. Ask the question and listen for the answer. But if you haven't cultivated, again, your I'm going to do whatever it takes for however long it takes muscle, your bounce back muscle, then it can be really anxiety provoking for you. This sense of, oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh my God, oh my God. But when you're in something for the long game, whether it was losing weight, whether it's getting over a divorce, whether it's over real estate losses, you know it takes time and you have to do it step by step by step. And every single day that you get up, you have to recommit yourself to whatever it is. It could be custody cases. It could be like I had to go through the legal case at school when I was going through my graduate program, my master's program. But whatever it is, it takes time. And so when we have to go through things that take time, it requires that we develop our long game muscle. It's like the NFL players and the NBA players. They should be playing, but they have to keep themselves fit for when the time comes for them to hop into the game. Well, we're being called on to activate our long game muscle. We've got to know we're going to be in it for the long haul. And that's not just from now to December. It's from December on. I'm always reminding myself of the Montgomery March, which started in December of 1955, and it didn't end until December of 1956. That our ancestors, our grandparents were walking to work for what they wanted. That was a heck of a long game. So that is to that degree that we are being required in this system, in this process, to step up our ability to stand in faith, to step up our courage, to step up our willingness to be vulnerable and to trust God. Because remember, God has no religion. So I'm not even going into the religion part. God has no religion. God has no religion, doesn't talk about religion, none of that. So if you keep that in mind as you're moving through this process and it feels like, God, is it going to ever end? What's going to come up next? We know they're going to open up things. What's going to happen there? I'm sure all those different kind of questions may come up. Know that the answer to that is probably no, it's not going to end. Yes, it's going to be going for a little bit longer or a lot longer. And it's like you dig in, and I mean this literally. You go outside, you put your feet on the ground, you stand just a length apart, and you just imagine that you're sending all your powerful energy down into this earth. Because Mother Earth will hold you from your left leg and your right leg. You send that energy down and you stand strong and you stand tall and you stand erect. This is your long game, and you're drawing energy from up there in the universe and you're pulling it and sending it right down there into the earth, and allow it to keep you solid and strong. And every day, yes, you will have to get up and commit. Every morning you will have to recommit. And no, you may not be one of the people that march. I try to march at least once a week, but then there is a 1,000,000-letter movement that is happening, where we're sending letters to the key people who are responsible for police accountability. So now we need you to do that. See, that's what I mean by the long game. First, we do all the protesting and protesting and protesting and protesting, which has gone on longer than it has ever gone on, at least here in the United States. Then after that, we have to move to other action. Our next action is letter writing. Somewhere in there, I think there was a day that we weren't supposed to spend money at all, but that got so convoluted till I don't know which people knew what day they were supposed to do what. But the next game after we finish with our letter writing is to then look at our money and our resources, where we spend our money, how we spend our money. Because you're learning in this moment, you may need to hold on to some of the money you've been spending. So it's either your long game, and if you haven't developed that muscle, well, now is the time to develop it. There's nothing that's going to move this faster than us. Any transformation that we're looking for happening on this planet is going to happen from the inside out. The more we're in our long game, the more we're solid and we're clear. We're not running around with a lot of anger, frustration, animosity, anxiety, and worry. But we're clear. We're aligned with what we know as truth. There's one power, one presence. There's one humanity on this universe. That's all. Although we've cut it up into all kinds of colors and names and whatevers, there's only one. That's the truth. There's only one power and presence that's breathing our breath and beating our heart. There's only one energy that's keeping the sky up there, that keeps the stars up there at nighttime, so we comfortably go to sleep and don't worry about anything happening to us. There's only one power and presence that's doing that. There's some things that don't change. No matter what's happening with the police brutality, no matter what's happening with the virus, no matter what's happening with race, there's some things that just do not change. So you want to get yourself pretty anchored and centered in what those things are for you and hold on to those things as you move through this process. See, that's what the long game teaches you, what your resources are, how do you fulfill yourself and how do you fortify yourself for the journey? When I think about the people walking with Harriet Tubman, who she was going to shoot because they weren't going to keep walking, that was a long game for those people to make that journey to freedom. Think about that. That was a long game. You think about the Jews and what they had to go through and those who were free. That was a long game for the people who survived that. I would say most of us, but many of our races, if we broke it into races, have gone through long game situations and come out on the other side. Black folks weren't the only. It's just that ours was so long and it's continuing. We can't even get out of this cycle. At least, you know, what was happening with the Jews and Adolf Hitler and all that stuff. Some of that shifted, came to an end, and they kept on moving. But we seem to still be in ours. If we could get out of this process, we could move on to the next thing. But in the long game, and that's what's required of all of us. That's what's required of all of us. Hard work, looking inside ourselves, understanding what we think and feel, accountability to ourselves, to our truth. Good morning. You know, just a simple hello. I get people saying hello to me now more than they did before. And being willing, I say this almost every time, being willing to understand somebody else's journey. Being willing to understand someone else's journey. And I know for all my Black people, you may say, well, they need to understand our journey. First of all, there's no they and them. That's all part of what's been created. There's just us. There's just humanity. And yes, ask them what their journey is and feel free to share yours. Because once you know someone's journey, then you have a better sense about who they are, what they do, and how they do it. And ours, unfortunately, our stories have been told for us, so people have their own ideas about our journeys. We're clear on the Jewish journey. We're clear on everybody else's journey. But our journey, for some reason, seems to get convoluted. You know, what happened with the Jews, it's interesting what happened with the Jews when you think about it, but nobody walked away from that experience thinking, oh, they're less than, they're not good enough, they're terrible, they're this, versus with our experience, when we were captive, we were kidnapped, and then all we get back though is they're not good, they're not that, they're not that. It's really interesting how America has really taken the two different stories and created, you know, certain kind of conversations around them. But nonetheless, we got to be in it for the long game. You've been in the long game before. If you're going through a divorce, if you're going through a custody battle, if you've gotten fired before, if you've had a terminal illness, if you had to deal with cancer, prostate cancer, breast cancer, you've been through the long game before. If you've gone through any of that, where every single day you have to get up, you have to commit, you have to stay encouraged, you have to stay in faith, then that's what's required now. And if you haven't had it, it's time to learn it. How's your long game? Take good care, whoever's there. I can't see you. I guess that's it. We in the long game. I trust that you're good. You're hanging in there. You're taking good care of yourself. Things are opening. I know heard Disneyland is open. I can't even imagine what this world's going to be like. Because, you know, we were like packed in there like sardines in a line trying to get into Disneyland. And all that's changing. So it's really going to be interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see how our economy is going to come back, because restaurants cannot be opened up 100% yet. Everything can't be opened up 100% because we know people are carrying the virus because they don't know they're carrying it, and nobody's getting tested because nobody trusts the test or tests the vaccine that's coming. So it's really about us taking care of and being mindful. We really have to get over this mask thing. We also have to get over the fact that there are going to be people who are not going to wear them, and we have to be okay with knowing that we're going to wear ours, because that just becomes another way to divide. It's so funny how we can divide so quickly. Now we're arguing over the mask. Next we'll be arguing over something else. This whole thing is about transforming us and transforming our hearts, and actually looking at potentially bringing us closer to God. Take good care. Bye for now.